In this lecture, we will try to understand creating a thread by using runnable interface. Recall my previous lectures. In one of my previous lecture, we were discussing that a thread can be created in two ways. What is first way? First way is by extending thread class. By extending thread class. Second way is by implementing runnable interface. In this class, till now I discussed this one. How one can execute, how one can create threads by extending thread class. In this class, we will try to understand how to create a thread by implementing runnable interface. Let me discuss few points about this particular interface. What is that interface? Runnable interface. Runnable interface. What it is? The runnable interface should be implemented. It should be implemented. Runnable interface should be implemented by any class. By any class whose instances are intended to be executed by a thread. We will try to understand this after few minutes with simple Java program. Runnable interface. This runnable interface have only one method. This particular runnable interface have only one method, that is run method. Public void run. I can say public void run. Public void run is used. This is a method. It is used to perform. It is used to perform action for a thread. To perform action for a thread. We will try to understand this with the simple Java program. Start method. We already discussed about this start method while discussing about thread states. Start method of thread class is used to start. It is used to start a newly created thread. Used to start a newly created. It is used to start a newly created thread. It performs following tasks. What are the tasks? Tasks performed by newly created thread. What are the tasks? What are the tasks one can perform by newly created thread? A new thread starts. The thread moves from new state to, let me say, tasks. Tasks. What are the tasks? My first task is a new thread starts the thread. I can say the thread moves from new state to runnable state. New state to runnable state. This we will try to understand. I already discussed about new state and runnable state. Let me repeat. Start method of thread class is used to start a newly created thread. It performs following tasks. A new thread starts. The thread moves from new state to runnable state. What is new state? What is runnable state? I already discussed in my previous lectures. When the thread gets a chance to execute, it targets run method. Runnable means what? It is ready to execute. It is ready to execute. But processor is not available. Processor is not available. Once if you get processor, once processor is available, in that case what happens? Your thread will move from runnable state to run state. That's what we discussed about in introduction of threads. That we will try to understand all these things with the help of simple Java program. Just see this one, what it says. It is simple and straightforward program. Class space class name multi3, whichever name you want you can keep. This is my class. That's what I am discussing. One class must implement an interface. This is known as interface. This is known as interface. What is that interface name? Runnable interface. Class space class name multi3 implements runnable. What we discussed, we were discussing that this interface has got only one method, that is run method, public void run. Just I am keeping a simple message, thread is running, isn't it? Public static void means string args, where we can create objects. What is my class name? Multi3. Class name space object name equal new class name. Therefore, M1 is my first thread. Therefore, what am I doing here? M1 is thread. Of course, I must make use thread class even if you implement runnable method. Just see, thread space, let me write. If you are not extending the thread class, your class object would not be treated as a thread object. So you need to explicitly create thread class object. Here just observe carefully. Even in runnable interface also, I am creating object. If you are not extending the thread class, your class object would not be treated as thread object. So you need to explicitly create thread class object. You need to explicitly create thread class object. That's what I am doing. Even in the context of runnable interface, we are passing the object. What is my M1? M1 is object. Therefore, I can say we are passing the object. Which one is object here? Here object is M1. We are passing the object of your class. Which one is class? Multi3 is class, whose object is M1. We are passing the object of your class that implements runnable, isn't it? That implements, yes, multi3 is a class that implements runnable so that your class run method may execute, isn't it? Just see, thread space t1 equal new thread. By that particular thing, by this one, I am passing this object, isn't it? T1 dot start. T1 dot start means then only it will go to run method. Output will be thread is running. Just try to observe this program carefully. Let me repeat it again. Even though you are implementing with your runnable interface, you need thread class object to pass this runnable interface. That class object, multi3 is a class whose object is M1. To pass this particular object, I need thread class object. So that how can I compile JAVAC space multi3.java? How can I run JAVAC space multi3? It is simple and straightforward program. Of course, a little bit tricky program. So that just try to understand this program. It is simple and straightforward. How will it be? We will even, if you want, let me demonstrate this program. What is my class name? Class name is multi3. How it works? Just let me go to, I think I must go to command prompt. Maybe it may take some time. Yes. It is simple. We will try to understand. Let me go to command prompt once. Yes. What is this? This is, let me go to E drive, CD, Java, 1.2, CLS. Let me clear the screen. JAVAC space, what is this? .java, isn't it? JAVA. Now, how can I run this one? It's simple. How can I run? JAVA space multi3. Therefore, what output you are getting? Thread is running, isn't it? Therefore, try to observe this program carefully so that you can understand this. Always try to understand, even though if you implement this thread program with runnable interface, I need thread class. That's why thread space t1 equal new thread, through which I am passing the object related to multi-3 class which is implementing runnable interface. As I told you, this runnable interface have only one method, that is run method. Thank you very much.